The difference between being righteous and being self-righteous is not what Babylon would like you to think it is. It's quite tricky wordplay. What they're implying is that if there's a consensus that you're righteous amongst a society, so it's socially normative to believe that you're righteous, then you are righteous, right? If there's a consensus, that you are self-righteous, then, you're self-righteous. If no one agrees with you, right? That's what they want you to think. Now, let's think about this. How easy is it for me to create a consensus or for someone to create a consensus? Let's say I wanted to, vote, a black guy out of mayor, who's the mayor out of the place, right? I'll say, look, black people are inferior. He's incapable. And everyone goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that mayor says, you know what? No, we're not. I'm doing this for God. I'm equal. And they say, no, you're self-righteous. You don't know your place in the white man's social order. So you see how it's really tricky. In fact, the truth is actually the other way around. Yourself, you, and your connection to God help you determine what is right. In fact, Christian preachers have it wrong. They say, don't rely on your understanding. Yeah, rely on God's understanding and connect to him. Don't listen to the preacher in church. You see how they mislead you? It's you who has the answers. All right. So sparring shows the ability to deliver a deadly blow. That's what it shows. Whether we're talking about stick fighting, a deadly or an incapacitating blow, which would lead to one to die on the battlefield. Because on the battlefield, my friends, if I get struck in the side by one person, it's going to hurt. I'm going to, react. It's going to make my body shift a certain way, which opens me up for someone else to stab me somewhere else. That's why combos are so important. Because once you get that combo in and you throw them off, you have them right there. Their balance is off so much, not necessarily their ability to stay on their feet and to stay stable, but their ability to fight effectively on their feet. Because some fighting forms are in motion and some are more, like Taekwondo, for example, when they spar, they hop up and down, right? They bounce on the balls of their feet. Okay, so the importance, it then comes down to your ability to deliver deadly blows and deadly combos is of the utmost importance. Because once you get that rhythm down like the drum, you're just killing. You're going through guys in battlefield. Boom, boom. You see the guys next to you, right and left. You're one mind on the battlefield. You stab the guy to your right. You stab the guy in the front, and the guy who's next to you finishes the guy off to the right, like, good job. And then, and without saying anything because you're focused. Afterwards, you might say, hey, that one guy? Yeah, I like the way you got him. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, yeah. You see what I'm saying? And they'll reenact the fight. And that's what the dancing was about. They'll do flips and say, we did these flips and we were dodging arrows, and they're doing dances and reenactments of fights and playing special war drum beats to reenact the battles. Okay? This is martial art tradition that predates all others. And it came as a result of the original African martial arts, and every last one of you knows it. So when you look at gang members can stab people, women can stab people, little kids, like, 8-year-olds have been known to stab people to death. Look it up. So delivering a deadly blow, isn't about hitting hard. This is unarmed sports. Martial arts is delivering deadly or incapacitating blows on the battlefield to defend the nation. The guys who have forged their body into the type of weapon that kills on the battlefield are the most respected, and the pharaoh, is like them. Okay, he leads them out into battle. The big guys who, push people around and say, hey, you can't go there. These are the guys who wrestle people to, ritually and traditionally and usually, generally, in African cultures. These bigger guys, they wrestle people and say, hey, the score is settled. You have to listen to your mother now. But in this case, they can't pull that card with me. And you can imagine why. Because of the moral code comes first. As soon as that big guy says something to me that's not consistent with the moral code, like, hey, I'll challenge you to a wrestling match over whether your mom sucks a goat dick, then I say, you know what? That's not how we do it. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, so we move on. Sparring also shows transferable, communicable, convertible, translatable, and universal skills. So let's look at who uses sparring weapons, sticks. The Osirian priests, the capoeira guys have been known to use sticks, apply them in their forms. The Nigerians, the Igbos, the Yorubas, the House of Fulanis, the big sticks, small sticks, Amhara, Oromo, it's pervasive in African culture. Big sticks, small sticks, okay? Big cats, smallest cats. We know the Koreans, the Filipinos, the Europeans, typically when they're kids, they practice with, wooden swords. And believe it or not, that helps them grow up understanding how to war for the same reason that African martial artists grew up training doing certain activities that help them grow into warriors as well. All right, so when you look at fencing, okay, a samurai can't say, you know what, I challenge you to ancient combat then with a sword. Why? For the same reason a fencing woman can't say, I challenge you to fencing. You have to have transferable skills, okay? So if I pick up a flashlight or something, you pick up one. I pick up a knife, you pick up one. I pick up a bottle. And the main emphasis has to be on smaller weapons. And why do you think that is? Because there's two things that come into play. One is self-defense, and the other is fighting, other fighting skills for war. Self-defense, for example, I pick up a bottle, I break it on your head, I stab you in the eye, stab you in the neck, stab you in the balls, stab you in the femoral, stab you in the carotid, break your fucking neck, quickly drop the, while I'm pulling my hand back from stabbing you in the neck, or the last time, or wherever I said it was, and I drop the bottle and I reach back and I break your neck. You see what I'm saying? I move quick. I was quick with my hands. I maneuvered you. Sweat crack. You see what I'm saying? Transferable skills. Okay, and the emphasis has to be on shorter range, and the gloves are an extension of your hand. I've made these arguments before. They're only concerned with appearance, even though they know that I'm right, and this is also traditionally how you show it. The student will say, you know what, I challenge you to a samurai match, with a wooden sword. Why would they do it that way? Why would they do it that way if it doesn't mean anything? Okay, now if it was something serious, you might say, I challenge you to fucking real combat, over this very serious issue. And of course, the guys who do it that way are the hardcore martial artists, and everyone else is kind of like a watered down version of them, right? And that's what I am, Anyway, so we look at arrows, right? Bow stance, cat stance, leopard society, my leopard falcon stances, which are variations of other martial arts I've seen. Basically, I said it comes back like a Kometan boomerang. I watched my martial arts travel through their cultures historically, and by studying the martial arts, and I decided what my ancestors probably did based on the Beni Hassan wrestling and the stick fighting depictions I found on the Metu Neter and the pyramid text. Okay, now, I'm not saying I'm the top expert in Egypt, but I'm also saying it doesn't take a fucking genius to figure out what they're getting at, and it takes a martial artist to know what they're talking about. It takes one to know one. For example, one person might say martial arts is about, doing cool little moves and they dress in a cool outfit. I know, because I've lived in Japan all my life. I know better than you. And I'm the guy who actually did the research for all these years, right? And I'm like, no, it goes deeper than that. You see what I'm saying? It takes one who really is one, like me, to know one. That's part of why they've defined it incorrectly, and I have it correct. So when it comes to, spears, right? For example, if you gave me a lightweight spear, okay, that was all metal, that's all it would take for me to conquer the samurai sword. Now I could take advantage of reach. If my average height of my soldiers is better than theirs, for the same reason Alexander the Great extended his spears, I believe it was him. Part of his idea was he was going to make his spears a little bit longer to make his troops more effective, I was told when I was younger. Okay? It's the same idea. Does that mean his troops are better martial artists? No. It goes down to the transferable skills. Because if I train my troops if I give my troops the same weapons and adjustments as you gave yours, and mine have better transferable skills, I'm going to win. So the better martial artists are the guys with the better transferable skills. Okay? So the difference between the big cat, the small cat, I kind of went over that. Yeah, that's about it. And I'm sure Bruce Lee would agree. And this is the reason he would agree if he heard this argument. Because you have to work with your body. If your people are, short and thick, or medium size and thick, or tall and thick, like some white races, if your people are, thin and tall, regardless of what they are, you have to develop natural weapons, for them. Nothing more than, as soon as you start using armor, we're into technology, we're away from nature. Oh, I didn't go over that. Yes, as well. So anyway, it has to be relative to your body. In other words, can you teach your people to fight better than their people? If you can't then turn around and say, hey, it's because you're taller, your army won. You have to say, you know what, your army beat mine. For the same reason, you have to say, you know what, your best soldier beat mine. So if my best soldier called your best soldier out to armed combat with their weapon of choice, for example, okay, and I use my metal spear, lightweight, and I boom, before they can't really reach back and swing before I can poke, and kind of do the kung fu downwards motion with the spear in a bow stance, and then come back up, stab in the neck. You see what I'm saying? They can't really cover that distance. So that's technology giving them the upper hand. But we do it in a way of sparring, where if we were knife fighting, it would come out the same. That's why I offer them to choose which plastic knife to use. Okay, so anyway, black magic, alchemy, right? This is part of what the church feared, because they knew that technology leads to more warfare, and they were trying to bring in more peace and order and bring in a universal church for an empire, not warring states where people, have an arms sort of race. Okay? So in the ancient world, from the Christian perspective, the technology also is considered evil. And if you really think about nature versus technology, and where does technology come from, alchemy is really one of the roots of it. You'll see what I mean. The tree by its fruit, right? And alchemy has created, has led up to nuclear bombs and all kinds of horrible things. Chemical warfare, biological warfare, sterilization agents, just horrible things, chemical agents, mustard gas, just nasty things that destroy the environment. And, if a tree is giving you partially good fruit and giving you nothing but poison and, destroying the forest, it's time to destroy that tree, if you get what I'm saying. So yeah, that covers the idea that, this is not fair for people who are shorter. It actually is fair. And the answer to that is maintain your tradition as being the top samurai or, taekwondo guy in your culture, or whatever you are, whatever culture you are. That's the answer. The answer isn't to try to make your race look good, because we see through that. Do you really want your race to be known as a bunch of liars who are fake and superficial, like some snobby, yuppie old Eastern Star or something? Or do you want your race to be known as keeping it real and down to earth and spiritual, as your ancestors would have liked?
The call on cause, I'm up to 4x4, declaring all out war. No, y'all don't want to sport.
Okay, so what did he say? He said, I'm up to par, declaring all out war. Y'all don't want to spar. He said, I'm on top of my game. Y'all don't want to spar and have me prove it.
Jacking is what I feel, back in the attack. You best to call on cause, I'm up to 4x4, declaring all out war. No, y'all don't want to sport. The score on my soul is black. No, y'all don't want to sport.